Go.
Good afternoon, everybody. May 11th, 2021. This is the DVMUG virtual meeting for the week. Today, as usual, we're going to feature questions and answers, which we will be taking from the floor, so to speak. And we're going to be talking about reminders versus calendars, some of the most misunderstood software of the Apple, secrets of the dock, managing iCloud storage, and understanding and using Siri. So without any further ado, let's move on to questions and answers. All right.
I have a question. One of my other meetings, Zoom meetings, doesn't send out reminders, so I'm always kind of, looking for the link. Well, so I put that email with the link in it in iCloud. But when I go on my iPad and I click the link, I get a blank screen that just says like, email about this link. There's no link on it, and and it says like 8 kilobytes or something. So the link doesn't show up.
What do you mean by you put the email in iCloud?
I dragged and dropped that email.
That don't work.
That. Well, it didn't work. That's
so.
Okay.
What? Just can't you get that same email on your iPad? Just in your email, use the mail program?
Yes, the problem is it's buried in emails. It's an email from 6-7 months ago.
Well, forward it to yourself so it comes to the top.
Well, actually, what the way now I know, okay, officially, you can't do that. What I did was I copied the link and I copied it and I pasted it into my calendar on that meeting time. So all I have to do is go to the calendar and click on the link there. And I tried it and it worked fine. So I'll just do it.
So they have a permanent, they use the same link from many months ago?
Yes.
But they don't send out that in a, how do people know where to go if the thing's 7 months old? Everybody must have this problem. Well,
I don't know if I've been missing the emails or if other people have found other ways of saving that link. I don't know. I just know.
They got to have reminders to tell people when the meeting is. And the people aren't going to remember from 7 months ago unless they have a calendar with links in it or something.
Yeah, I don't know. But my problem's solved now. But I wanted to ask you about that because I thought, well, I didn't understand why you couldn't just copy, send the email over to iCloud, because on my computer I can go into iCloud and click on it and it works, but not on the iPad.
I don't.
Janet, are you looking for a reminder that's timely, something that like that morning to say, hey, don't forget your Zoom meeting at such and such?
Oh, no. I have alarms. I have everything on my calendar with alarms and reminders. I have a couple of apps that do that.
What's the issue then?
The link.
Is this a reoccurring meeting that happens at the same time every week or every month?
Yes, every week.
You put in your calendar and you say repeating event and put the link in the day when it is,
right.
And then you just
That's what I did.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
But I was trying to do it the other way, and I couldn't figure out why it wouldn't work when it worked on my computer, but it wouldn't work on the iPad. That's all. So you just told me it can't be done. So, okay, now I know. It's not something I'm doing wrong. It's something that doesn't work. You can't do that.
Might be because of the iPad sandbox thing.
Oh. I don't know what that means, but it's something to do with the iPad then is why that doesn't work. Thank you.
Okay, moving on.
I have a question. I tried to put it on the BBS, but I put it in the wrong place, but now I put the correct email. But last week when they had the photo sig, what did you say was the one to get for $40? Was it Power Photos?
Yeah, I answered you on the BBS.
Oh, you did. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Well,
put the
just for
link
the
in.
rest of the audience though, John, tell them.
I put the link in there. It's called Power Photos. The link is on the BBS.
Thank
you.
When
And
you
to
asked me
remind-
where it is, I just went to Google and typed in Power Photos Mac, and then that's
Oh,
how I
I
got
could
the
have done
link.
that too. I could have done that too. Thank you.
And to remind our audience, what does Power Photos do?
Power Photos is the ultimate utility for the Photos app for finding duplicates, and it also merges libraries together if you have multiple libraries. So it's kind of more than you need just for duplicates, and it's kind of expensive. It's $40, but it's the granddaddy of those programs. It's been around before. In iPhoto, it was called iPhoto Library Manager, and then they went to Photos. They made a new version called Power Photos. I've used it many times. It works very well.
Someone
good.
told me at a photo sig when we did them at the office that you have to do it on the instrument that you took the photos on. Like if you took it on your iPhone, you have to do it on your iPhone. Is that
No.
correct?
Power Photos is a Mac OS program.
Okay, so that was not correct, that it had to be
There
done.
is no iOS version of Power Photos.
Okay,
It works directly with Photos. It opens your Photos library, and then you can do multiple things with it. You could search for duplicates, and it scans it, and then it tells you, okay, we found them. It puts them in a folder called Power Photos Duplicates, and then you go into Photos and you go into that, and that's all your duplicates, and then you got to control click on the photos, and you have to say delete them from and not just delete them from the album, but say, do you want to delete these from? It has directions. It tells you on the
okay,
screen.
fine, okay.
You got to
Well-
follow the directions or it won't work. You'll just
Well-
take them from the album. They'll still be there. They're just missing from makes a special album.
Does that work with iCloud photos also?
It doesn't make any difference if you have iCloud, if photo library on or off. It
Okay.
deletes them from your computer, and that would take them off the cloud and off your phone
Okay.
if you have them set to sync. The main trick that's would, I don't know if anything else can do that, is if you have multiple Photos libraries, maybe from other computers or old versions, or God knows why you have them, but people do have them. I find them all the time. They have other old, and then you can merge them all together and it will not bring in the duplicate. So you could have an old one with half your photos and a new one with, and then would put them all together in one thing and eliminate the duplicates, and you can bring them all together and clean them up.
And by the time you get down to it, $40 is a lot cheaper than having somebody come in to help you do that. At say $60 to $100 an hour or more.
That's for sure.
You know,
It's
that
kind of a one-trick pony. If you clean it up once, you shouldn't need to use it again, but
Well, I used that duplicate photo and it deleted it on the iPhone, but not on, and they're all synced. It didn't do on the iPad or the Mac.
well, then you didn't.
So that's when she told me I had to use it on the phone, and then it worked, believe it or not.
If you have an app on iOS, it's only gonna work on iOS. But if you
Okay,
have
I
it
got
synced
it.
to your
Oh, that
Mac,
makes
it should do the thing. It should get them off your Mac too. But these programs are all different. I looked at a bunch of them, and they're all different in the way they work. So you got to follow their directions to
Yeah, well, I'm good at
make sure
following
it
that.
actually doesn't just find the duplicates, but gets them off of there and not just, you know.
good.
Good, thank you.
Anybody else got any questions before we move on? Yeah, go ahead, Janet.
Now that we can, and I was so glad I learned that you can put captions under pictures on the phone, but they don't seem to transfer to the Mac, or do they?
If you
Sure.
have on iCloud in the Photos section, if you have Photos library turned on all the devices, it's going to sync them.
Hmm.
If you don't have that
Yeah.
on, it's not going to sync them.
Well, I just did, but I have a few bugs going on.
Oh,
But Apple, I must say, Apple has been wonderful about working with me. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
this guy keeps calling me back and I can't believe it.
It's great service. It's
It-
great service.
It didn't used to be this way. And when they dropped that one-to-one lessons, oh, I loved that, where I could go in a couple times a month with all my questions and sit down with somebody. That was fantastic. But this is
Yeah.
good too.
That was probably too costly for them.
Yeah, I
Now,
guess so. But this
yeah.
must be
Oh, I
too.
knew when they came out with that would never last. There was no way they could do that.
Yeah. Personnel costs are pretty high.
Well, it costs a lot to have this senior advisor calling me, every week too.
Yeah, but look at it this way. It puts meat and potatoes on his table. If it wasn't for you, he might not have anybody to call that day.
Well, it's good for employment. I'm all for that.
You bet. You bet. No, I've found Apple support is terrific, even if you don't have Apple Care. One time when the club was trying to become a recommended organization for the city of Pleasant Hill, they wanted us to take our database and show them how many people lived in each zip code. Well, our database is easily, we could separate out the zip codes, but I didn't want to have 5,500 or so, or 30 or 40 from Walnut Creek, 20 or 30 from Lafayette, and so forth. I wanted to be able to say area code or zip code 94549 for, say, Lafayette has 12 or 13 people. And I couldn't figure out how to get numbers to do that. And they referred me. I said, I need help with numbers. And they gave me this guy. He sounded like a high school kid. He spent about an hour and a half with me.
Wow.
And we got it done in great order. And unfortunately, I could not duplicate it again, but I'm glad to know that if I call again, I can get that same support. But that's just Apple. They really support their own products.
However, the people that you talk to first are not so great. You have
No,
to-
they're awful. I agree. They're awful.
Yeah, I think that they've done some hiring to satisfy employment goals, and they're doing training on the fly.
Yes.
Because I know a lot of times now I'm getting escalated much earlier in the process than it used to be.
I find that they're not unpleasant, they just don't know much.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't find them unpleasant. It's just that they don't know much.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, they're not unpleasant at all.
No,
But I think their binder of scripts is limited.
right. I think so too.
I think in the last year, a lot of those people are working at home unsupervised.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
The last gal I spoke to was from Idaho, and she was at home, and I could hear her kids in the background. But she was doing fine. So what else?
Rick, I got 2 or 3 questions if I can do them all.
Well, try. Let's start with number 1 and move
Okay.
on.
First one, I have my MacBook Pro is 2015, early version. The touchpad has some special tricks that I don't want to use. And I
Turn 'em
find
off.
that, excuse me,
Turn them
Turn them
off.
off.
is there a way I can turn it off in the settings?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
There's a gazillion
okay.
of them in trackpad. Turn them all off that you don't use, because if you drag your fingers across it, it does crazy things.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I'll deal with that offline.
Do you want to
Another
know
thing-
where to, do you want to know where to turn it off?
No, I'll
go to-
figure that out. I just didn't know it was
go to-
doable.
Well, other people might have the same question though, so we want to answer
Okay.
thoroughly. Open system preferences and look for trackpad, and there you will see it. On each of the choices you have, there's a short little video demonstrating what each of those things does, and you can activate it or deactivate it. Okay, question 2.
Okay, question 2. I love Yahoo's calendar. I moved away from Yahoo in terms of email, but is there a way I can take the entire Yahoo calendar going way back several years and move it to some other more secure format that I can keep, even if Yahoo goes down the tubes in the next couple of years?
Yahoo's
Yahoo's-
just been bought. Yahoo has been bought.
Yeah, and
That's
I heard
correct.
some negative things about the possible future of it. But
Where
I
do you
love the
access,
Yahoo calendar
where do you access your Yahoo calendar?
on Safari.
On the web? Well, I would say go in there and look for an export command.
Yeah,
Look for what?
export.
Export.
Oh,
And then once you export it, I'd recommend that you save it to your desktop. And then once you've
Import
got
it
it on
into
the
your-
desktop, open
import it
Apple
into-
Calendar and import.
Yeah.
oh, I can import to the Apple Calendar. Yeah, I've been looking at that. I don't like the Apple Calendar as much, but I got to use it a little bit more.
It's
It
pretty
doesn't-
good.
It doesn't pick up things from the iCloud. It doesn't move it by itself.
That's
What?
probably your fault.
Probably.
No, the Apple Calendar, if you have it turned on in Calendar to sync, it syncs to all your Apple devices if you have the switch turned on for Calendar. I sync mine to like 10 devices.
And that can include the Yahoo Calendar,
It can include what?
the older version, the old Yahoo Calendar content. That'll,
If it imports,
It's data is data. If the data is visible to the Apple Calendar, it will import it. And I don't remember, I haven't done a lot of this, so I don't remember what the suffix is for calendar files. Does anybody know what the suffix is?
it'll
I don't know
show up.
what whatever your choices are for export, you have to be a choice for import in Apple Calendar.
Yeah. So let's say it's
File.
called a .cal file or a dot.
ICBU,
Is that what it is? ICVU?
ICBU, at least on when I archive it, it's an ICBU.
Okay, so it'll offer you some choices. I would start looking for that ICVU and choose that, see if it opens up, see if it imports into Apple Calendar. If it doesn't, then go back to Yahoo, export it again in another format, and then try and import that format.
Or you go to Google and you ask Google how to
Yeah.
export Yahoo Calendar to Apple Calendar.
Yes.
Okay, I will ask Google. That just raised another question, but let me go to the third question I had. Rick, you got me onto YouTube TV and I love it. They are offering me to include family up to 5 other people. Now, my son lives in San Diego. Can I get him onto this?
I have no idea.
Anybody else? Because it says that it looks like they're saying it should be under the same roof, which is not going to happen. in my
Oh
family.
yeah, okay, well, I know what that is. That's like Netflix. You know, if you set up an account and you can control what people see. No, your son in San Diego cannot do that. He'll have to pay the bucks himself.
Well, Netflix didn't used to care. I'm using Ann's Netflix.
Yeah, but
and
we're
her-
talking about YouTube TV here at
Yeah,
this
well, they
point.
may have different restrictions.
Right.
Now, I know my daughter uses my Netflix account, and she's in El Cerrito, and I'm in Pleasant Hill. Nobody said anything about it yet, but she
Right,
told me that she's waiting for the Netflix cops to
I
come and
heard the
get it.
rumor like they know like 40% of the Netflix are using somebody else's account,
Yeah,
and they don't really care.
no,
They allow 5. Netflix does. My AT&T TV allows 2.
Yeah, you to, and you can pay for more.
But the geography is the important factor.
YouTube TV would be, I believe, a little different. It'd be an account for controls, you know, like suppose you want to download, I don't know, Last Tango in Paris. That I know they broadcast that movie, but it was X-rated. And say you wanted to record it on your DVR, when your kid logged in under his name, he couldn't see what's in your DVR. So you could protect his little precious eyes from that.
Right, but my son and his wife and one of his daughters, I'd like to add them to the YouTube TV.
Well, what does he do for a living, Howard? Can he afford $65 a month?
He works for Sony.
Get his own
Let the
account.
guy pay. Let him pay. Besides, you're not Santa Claus.
No, but I
should
just
buy
didn't know it was
yours.
an issue.
He should buy yours. Tell him he owes you for so many years of growing up.
We're still, he was unemployed for a year and a half up until recently. He was unemployed for a year and a half.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
we've been paying some tuition in Southern California. Anyway, so that was my third question.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
the family.
Rick, this is Craig Olson.
And be aware that their terms can change at any time.
Right.
Right. And they're having a
YouTube
fight
give it,
with
and YouTube
Roku
take
right
it.
now.
Yeah, Google changes stuff all the time.
Yeah, and YouTube TV is having a fight with Roku right now too, to the point that they've even set up an alternative to logging in from a Roku to go to just YouTube. And then down in the lower left, it says, go to YouTube TV. You sign in once and then that remembers you. And then you've got your YouTube TV that way also. So far, YouTube TV continues to work just fine for me.
Yeah, it's been good. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, lots of good stuff. Wait till you learn how to use that DVR too. It's wonderful.
I think Craig Olson had a question.
Yes, Craig, go ahead.
It was just a comment about Netflix, and Ann, you had mentioned it too, that yes, you can have, I think it is up to 5 devices. The only thing that's sort of interesting about it is when I go and visit my friends overseas in the UK, there are certain programs there that that they can't get, that we can get here. And I think vice versa. It has to do
Absolutely.
with copyright or something. So, but it is interesting that you can get it overseas.
But if you sign up for a VPN, virtual private network, and you're in Britain, you can follow your shows from there as if you were here and vice versa. But,
Thank you.
But that's an extra charge. We talked about VPNs a couple of weeks ago, and they're indeed very good. If you want to watch something on RAI from Italy or something from Germany or the BBC, you can't just log into BBC. You can get BBC America, but that's not the same as BBC. And with a VPN, you can get all of the the BBC channels.
Rick, did you get the update yet for Roku to System 10?
Oh yeah.
You did? I
Yeah.
haven't gotten it yet.
Are you running an Ultra?
No, I'm running a Streaming Stick Plus.
You may not ever be able to go because none of my 3s have been able to update to 10. They're all on 9.4.
They're on the list. In fact, it's a current, and I've written them a couple times, we'll get around to it. I guess they spread it out because they don't want to overload the servers.
Maybe. Yeah, they do have a lot of Rokus out there.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we close out the questions or does anybody else have any? Because our program's probably going to be a little short.
An hour yet, so we got time if anybody
Yeah,
else
we
has
still
it.
have time. We still got time. Howard. You're muted.
Unmute.
Howard, you're muted. Howard, we can't hear you.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay
Yeah.
now.
I
Yeah.
have a question.
Okay, on my iPhone. Am I here?
You're next, Vern. Okay,
Okay.
go ahead, Howard.
Okay, when I'm on my iPhone and I change somebody's address in my telephone book, something pops up from Google saying something, and I trash it, and it pops up a second time. What is Google trying to do when they flash that, whatever the heck
Although
it
it'd
is?
be helped if you told us what it said.
Let me see if I can pull it up and do it.
And also, you might, while you're doing that, it sounds to me like you're using Google for your contacts instead of Apple.
No, I'm using Apple. I'm using
Then
Apple.
Google's not involved.
Yeah, Google
So
should be involved.
the fact that you're getting some notification from Google means you're syncing your address book to your
Through
Google
Google.
account.
Yeah.
Very easy
You
to
need to
do.
go through the cloud.
Yeah, let
You
me,
need to go into your phone, into the accounts, and go into your Google account, and they'll have mail, calendars, addresses, and notes in in there, and along with your Yahoo will have all those things, and you can be syncing, turning them on and off. I bet you have Google address book turned on.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
almost-
have done it on purpose, but let me see if this pops up now. I just changed something in somebody's directory.
Do you have to be in Danville at 4 o'clock today?
Tomorrow.
okay, well, while Howard's doing that, I believe, was it Tom Sisa or Vern Hance who had a question? I didn't
I'll come back
recognize.
with this
the-
when I can find it.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
I'm introducing myself to Spaces, and I'm finding that
Not
I
today.
guess I don't know all the tricks about it. So I'll do the command up arrow to trigger the Spaces menu at the top of the screen, and then the command left arrow or command right arrow moves among the spaces. But I was wondering why, so like I have the Zoom meeting on space number 3, but when I shift to space number 2, I still hear the Zoom meeting.
It doesn't affect the sound.
Yeah.
Okay. Just the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see you here, Tom, too. We haven't seen you before, I don't think.
No, you haven't, Rick.
Yeah.
I decided to check it out.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here.
I am too.
So,
Okay, well,
Howard,
that-
did you find? Oh, go ahead, Tom. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no,
I
I'm
cut
just
you off.
going to thank you for that. That makes sense with regards to.
So in
the,
theory, you
space.
could put your music over in another screen and have it playing in
found
the
it.
background or whatever.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I found it.
And Howard found it. Tell us
Yeah,
what it said.
I went to my address book and I changed one thing. And then when I finished editing it, what popped up was enter the Google password for my email in settings.
Exactly. You're
That's
editing a Google Calendar and wants you to log into Google because you're not currently
Yeah.
logged in that. So your
You're not
calendar is
saving-
you're absolutely syncing it to Google.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't really care to.
you're not
or should I?
using iCloud.
You're not using iCloud, or maybe you are. You could be syncing your address book to many. You could be syncing it to Yahoo and Google and Comcast and Apple, and you could have 4 different places you're syncing this. What you got is a hot mess.
Okay, so how do
Yeah.
I get rid of this Google part? Go to Google settings?
If you turn it off, all those will disappear.
Where
Yeah,
do I turn it off?
Before you do that, though, before you do that, I would go to your settings where it says Howard Smallheiser. Click on that because that'll take you into the cloud and you can see if you're syncing your mail and address book and so forth. Be sure that's turned on before you turn the others off.
So when you turn off in your Google account in system preferences, you turn off the address book, all those things that are synced to Google will disappear from your phone.
Right. That's why you want to be sure that your Apple iCloud is activated first. Otherwise,
So-
you'll lose everything.
And you can
Well,
check.
no,
that
it's
if
not
you
going to
go-
automatically transfer from Google to the Apple.
No, but if he
You're
turns
gonna
on
have to-
iCloud first,
You're gonna have to export them out of there and just log into your Google account. Leave it the hell alone.
I have to
Wow.
tap on it twice to cancel it to get rid of it. But it's a
Well, that
nuisance.
means that you're making edits, but they're not going to the Google and they're not syncing anywhere else. They're only
Right.
on your phone.
Howard, if you want to see what's in your cloud, go into Safari and go to iCloud.com and sign in. And you can see exactly what's in the cloud.
Right.
Same with Google. You go to Google, log into Google and go to calendars and you can see what's in your Google calendar and your Google address book.
But I really recommend that you use iCloud for synchronization of your contacts and your calendar so that all of your devices will be reading the same thing.
I agree.
Whatever
And
you
then-
choose to do, unless you really have a reason or you really pay attention to what you're doing, you should put all your stuff in one service and not have it
Yeah.
willy-nilly on different services. You got your calendar on Yahoo, you got your address book on Google, God knows what you have in your Apple ID.
Yeah.
I may need
I
some
have
help
a
on
friend
this
who's
later.
using Apple and Yahoo, and It's such a mess. I won't touch it.
We know
Well-
you're using Yahoo for one service and Google for another service.
They're using Google and Yahoo both for email, but I'm getting rid of I minimized the Yahoo. I still have it though. For
Yeah,
mail.
but you're using Yahoo for your calendar too, you said.
Yes,
So that's another black hole. So, and chances are you don't know why you're doing that. You just did it because maybe you used to do it. So
yeah, you're right, yeah.
yeah, maybe you might want to make an appointment for the next clinic.
Yeah, maybe in June, you do something like that. We'll see. Yeah,
It's up to you. Up to
yeah,
you.
I definitely can use some help because this artificial intelligence has me outmoded.
For the time being, when it asks you to log into your Gmail to edit that contact, you need to do that.
Yeah,
So it
you need to give it permission
synchronizes-
to make that record.
Yeah, so you can synchronize it to Google because that's where it lives.
Well, I'll look a little closer at that, but it is, to me, it's still very confusing. But
Well, it's very clear. It says, if you want to save this change,
Right.
log into your Google account.
Yeah, you need to
So
do what
then
it
you
says.
just put your password in and do what it says, and it'll do it.
Yeah, you're currently not logged into your Google account, so I don't think you're getting your Gmail on this device either. My guess is you're not.
yeah, I'm not really sure.
I'll pretty much guarantee that you're not because you're not
Yeah.
logged in.
Well, on my iPhone is where I'm looking at, not the Mac.
Yeah. Whatever device you're holding, and then you're getting this message, you're not logged into Google, so you're not getting anything from Google. No mail, no calendars, no address book, no nothing.
But I do get my mail and I do get my Google Mail. I get my Google Mail on there all the time on the iPhone.
Okay, guys, our time is expired here for questions. And I don't think a lot of people are interested in that. I've offered you a solution. Make an appointment at the clinic. We'll resolve that. But you'll need to bring your iPad, your phone, and your Mac.
Yep.
All
All
your
three.
devices
Yeah,
and all your passwords.
yes, be sure you have your passwords.
I've had my hand up for a long time and Howard.
Yeah, go ahead.
97 question. One quick question. What was the preferred VPN to use?
Oh, God, I can't remember. And
I like ExpressVPN.
that was the number one, yes.
Thank you very
That's the
much.
one. That's the one that Leo recommends.
Yeah,
Could I ask a really quick question? Just wanted to know if the, what's the current latest iOS for the iPhone? Is it 14.51?
Yeah.
Okay, because I had a message on mine that there was a 15 something.
No, there's
update.
not. No, there's
Yeah.
no 15.
And anyway, well, it was grayed out and then we didn't do anything. And then today it was gone. So yeah, just
Yeah.
wanted to check on that. Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay,
The only way you would do that is if you're on the beta track, and if you're on that, it would be giving
No.
you 15 beta.
I am definitely not on the beta track.
so
Okay.
moving on, calendars versus reminders. And we were just talking about calendars a little bit with Howard, but there's a lot to learn about these two programs and when you should use one and not the other. And then after we're done with this, I'm going to show you some personal stuff. So let's take a look and see what Gary R says. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Well, your sound, Rick, you got to go reshare and turn on
Okay.
sound.
I'll have to stop screen sharing for a minute. Stop share. Sorry about that, folks. I always forget to do that. There we go.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Today, let's
Yeah.
answer the question of whether you should be using the Calendar app or the Reminders app to add something to your schedule. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 500 supporters. Go to macmost.com/Patreon. There you can read more about it, join us, and get exclusive content. So this is a question I get asked pretty often. What's the point of having a calendar app and a reminders app? For some people, they seem to do the same thing. You want to remind yourself of an upcoming event or thing you have to do. Which one do you put it in? Both will allow you to set a time for the item and give you a reminder. However, each one works in a fundamentally different way. There definitely is some overlap. There are certain things you can do with calendar, certain things you can do with reminders, and there are certain things that you could do with either one. It's up to you. So easily the biggest difference for the reminders app is that you can have reminders items that don't have a time set for them. So for instance, you can have a to-do list like this. So you can have to-do items. They don't have any deadline, no time. They're just items in a list. You can have a general to-do list. You can have a today list. You can set it up any way you want, and these items wouldn't work in the calendar because there's no place to put them on the calendar. They're just things that you need to do. You also can have lists for other things like a shopping list. And these wouldn't have times or dates attached with them either. I also like to have idea lists. So I come up with new ideas for episodes or games or projects. I'll put them in a list and reminders. They don't have a time associated with them either. Now another difference is you can have reminders items that instead of having a time attached to them, they have a location. So for instance, here I have an item that is set for when I get in my car. Another one for when I arrive at a restaurant. So these are things I can schedule now and they'll actually give me notifications when I'm at that location, not at a specific time. The calendar can't do that. You also can easily see things that have a time but that time has passed. So for instance, if I forgot to do something yesterday and I look at today on the calendar, I'm not going to see it there. But in reminders, I'll see an item that's already passed. Matter of fact, it'll even put the time in red. Now on the calendar, everything has to have a time. Matter of fact, it has to have a start and a stop time. So if I look at an event here, it goes from one time to another. I can also set a time for a specific date or range of dates. But they all have to fit somewhere on the calendar. So the big advantage to the calendar is I can at a glance see what I have scheduled during that day. So for instance, I know not to schedule something in the morning on January 15th because I can see I have a meeting here. If I put that as a reminder, I'd have to carefully look through all of the reminders to make sure I don't have something scheduled for that day at that time. Now both reminders and the calendar will give you notifications if there's a time set for it. But in the calendar you can also set custom notifications. So this notification here has an email alert. I like to do that for extremely important things that I absolutely cannot forget. Have it send me an email so it's there in my inbox as well as on my calendar. So one way to look at it is the item a task or an event? A task is something you can put off till later. Going to the bank is something that if you didn't do it at that specific time, you could do it later. You can do it half hour later, the next day, the next week. You may want to do it at that specific time, but you can put it off. Also, a task is something that you could do earlier as well. So for instance, going to the bank, if you have the opportunity to do it earlier, you could do it earlier and then check it off the list. On the other hand, if it's an event, it's something that you can't do later or earlier. For instance, meeting somebody for lunch isn't something that you could just do 2 hours later if you don't get around to it or show up an hour earlier. You're going to want to meet at that specific time. You could look at it this way. Will the thing happen whether or not you remember to do it? For instance, if you decide to not go to the bank or you forget to go to the bank, that thing just doesn't happen. But if you forget about a meeting, the meeting is going to take place with or without you. I think the most important reason to use the calendar for an event is when you want to make sure you don't schedule one event over another. Because you can look at your calendar and look at a specific date and see that you've got something scheduled for that time. Whereas reminders, you can't really do that. So if you need to block out some time because you're at a meeting or on vacation or doing something else, then you need to put that in your calendar. But I think it's also important to realize that it's okay sometimes to see an overlap and not be sure which place to put an item. And then it's just personal preference or whatever is easier in the moment. Sometimes you may want to have parts of an event in calendar and other parts in reminders. For instance, you may want to schedule a vacation in the calendar to make sure you don't schedule any other appointments or other things over those days. But then you may want to set a reminder with your flight information and that it's time to leave to go to the airport in the Reminders app because that's a specific task that's just for you. There are a lot of other reasons why you may want to choose one over the other. I'd be interested in hearing how you use Calendar versus Reminders in the comments below. I publish new tutorials every weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't
Did you notice that he was speaking slower?
Yes.
Yes, good.
Yes.
Yes, I did notice that. For a change, I wanted to talk a little bit more about that and bring this stuff up here.
Just a thought, he didn't have as much to cover either. So he wasn't trying to fit a whole lot, a big bunch of information in a short slot. He had a nice slot and just a short, thing. So just a thought.
Yeah, okay. Well, let me bring up this piece of software here. And go back to sharing my screen. Okay, can you see this? Let me turn on my phone. There we go. You got my phone there?
Yes.
Okay, so, okay. Of course, he made it really clear that a calendar is a schedule with a start and end time, a very basic different from reminders. I like to create lists, such as books to order from the library and so forth. So let's open my reminders. Here I went and double clicked my MacBook Pro instead of my reminders. And here are some lists that I keep. Books to order or reorder. I like to keep a list of books from the library that I order. General shopping, Costco, Food Max, Trader Joe's, Sam's, Lucky, Safeway. I don't do so much grocery stuff anymore, but I used to use these quite a bit. And movies that I want to see. But let's go to my general shopping list. The nice thing about this is, if I'm in the kitchen and I see I'm all out of, or that I'm using the last kitchen sponge, I don't like to keep them for too long. I just say, hey Siri, add sponges to my general shopping list. Done. So there they are. So I could just holler that out from, as long as my device is nearby, and I can, yeah, general shopping. Okay. So that then appears in that list. Now, not only that, when I'm at the store, I don't want to walk around with that thing in my hand, with this list in my hand. So on my watch, I can tap reminders and I can go through my list there. And then as I find something, I just check it off. Just check it off and then it'll disappear. So it's quite handy. Likewise, if I see a movie that I might want to watch, these are two that I would like to see on HBO, and I'll get around to seeing them someday. So with Siri in conjunction with this particular list, it's marvelous. There's my books list. So it's indispensable for me to have that list. And I put a little check mark once I activate it on the list at the library. And then when it comes through, I just go ahead and cut it off. So that's how I use that. And you might find that method is useful to you as well. So let's bring back Keynote and disconnect that, and we can move. Uh-oh.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Something was said about sending yourself an email reminder. Was that
Yes,
it?
under the calendar as alerts, you can actually
Oh.
go You
Oh,
could
an
go
alert.
in and select an email alert. Now that would be something that Janet can use for her reminders of that Zoom meeting, that recurring Zoom meeting. She could say, send me an email alert 24 hours before or 2 hours before or whenever she wants. Are you still with us, Janet?
I am, but I don't, where do you have to do that in settings or something?
No, under calendar, under alerts,
Yeah, I'm on that. Okay, so I have
that
calendar.
alert. And then you
Alert.
say, and you choose any other kind of an alert. It should show you a list of other kinds of alerts.
Well, I don't see that ability. There's not anything there. Is that, do you have to
Well,
set that or something?
Let's open up the calendar and take a peek. So like, here's my physical therapy. I'm scheduled for next week. So I'll
Right.
open that up and I will say alert. And then I can choose, let's see, travel time 30 minutes before.
Yeah, see, that's all I get.
Then you go to custom.
I don't have that option.
You don't?
I
It
have
says
never seen it.
Open a file, email, and a message with sound.
Is that in Big Sur?
I'm in Big Sur, but I don't think that's limited to Big Sur. Does anybody else use that feature?
I don't use it, but I know that it's there and I'm not in Big Sur. It's
Yeah.
been there for a long time.
Yeah, a long, long time.
I get a notification before your meetings, an hour before all my stuff.
Okay, there you go. You're probably using that then.
Yeah. And Rick, the other way I use it is to for birthdays, because you can also set it for recurring.
Yeah, a
Yes.
week before for birthdays.
A week before
Yeah.
Yeah,
to remind me to send a card or to send somebody a greeting. So
I do it a week before for birthdays and still forget.
Yeah, it's amazing though, you know, with the calendar, some members of the family are saying, how can you remember all those birth dates and stuff? It's really easy, you know, as a new
contacts.
baby's born in the family, you add them to your contacts list and you then put their birth date down under birthday and you'll get a notification every time.
I
Make
get
it
it,
look like,
even in High Sierra under custom, I say, it has message with sound or email.
Do you have to do this on your computer?
That's what
I
I'm
believe
looking at.
so. Yeah, let me try. Let me look at the phone and see here.
I think I did it on the computer.
I don't have it on the computer.
It
On
should
the
be under
event.
custom.
On the event itself, it has to be a timed event, I think.
On the, here's what I get. Okay, I have an event. I go to calendar under alert. Right now it says none. I go to alert and it says either none or it says on day of event, 9 a.m., 1 day before 9 a.m.
Okay, so you don't have a timed event. It's an all-day event.
Yeah, yours is set for all day. On the setting, you've got the event set for all day.
Okay, then let me find another one.
I don't see it on the phone.
No, I don't either.
Okay, maybe it's just because it's on the phone then. All right.
Okay, so if it's an all-day event, you don't get the option of an email. You get on the day of the event at a certain time, 1 day before, 2 days before, 1 week before. You don't get an email option.
And to be precise, on my phone right now, I'm looking
no,
at.
I did do custom, and then under custom it does say email.
On your phone?
Not
on High Sierra.
Yeah,
Alert.
but not on the phone.
Not on
Now,
the phone.
Yeah,
It's not-
my physical
it's not
therapy
on
is
my
a
iPad.
definite time and it has a start and a stop, and it does not appear as an offered option.
I don't have it on my iPad either, and I have the iPad Pro.
Yeah, see, that's the difference between iOS and Mac OS.
No,
So-
I have the custom option. It just gives, You can do a day before or a week before, or you can do an hour before, or you could, you know, et
That's-
cetera.
That's not
Underneath
custom.
that
That's standard,
list of an hour or a day or week, I have custom.
but not on iOS, John,
No.
just on Mac OS.
Yeah.
Okay, then it's only on the computer, right?
Yep, right.
Okay, all right.
So fire up the old computer.
Yeah.
Okay, so recently there's been some questions about managing the dock. In fact, I think it was the last meeting, we talked briefly about that. And I thought we might profit from exploring and managing and using the dock. So let's see what Gary says.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Today, let's take a look at the basics of using the dock on your Mac. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 800 supporters. Go to MacMost.com/Patreon. There you could read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So the dock is the strip of icons you'll find at the bottom of your Mac's screen. The dock is divided up into 3 sections, divided by these lines that you'll see here. The leftmost section contains apps. It's the easiest way to launch an app on your Mac. To launch an app, just click its icon. So here I've got the Reminders app. I click that and the Reminders app launches. Notice that when an app is running, it has a dot underneath it in the dock. Now you can customize the dock to add the apps that you want. The easiest way to do that is in the Finder, create a new Finder window and go to your Applications folder. Then from there, find the app that you want to add to the dock and simply drag it from the Applications folder to the dock. I'll drag Affinity Photo here and place it in the dock. I'll also drag Acorn and place that in the dock. You could rearrange the apps in the dock by clicking and dragging right or left and placing them where you want. To remove an app from the dock, drag it up, and when you get far enough up, you'll see Remove appear and you can drop it there and the app is gone. Now it's very important to understand a basic concept of the dock, which is nothing is actually in the dock. What you see there are shortcuts or aliases to the actual items. So those apps, I didn't move from the Applications folder and put them in the dock. I simply created a shortcut to launching the app. The app is still in the Applications folder. All those apps you see in your dock are in the Applications folder, not in the dock. It is just a shortcut to launch it. So removing an app from the dock does not uninstall it or delete it from your Mac. It simply removes the shortcut. And when you install a new app on your Mac, it won't automatically appear in the dock. It'll be in your Applications folder and you can add it to the dock. Now when you run an app that isn't in your dock, it will appear in the second section of the dock. So I'm going to launch Pixelmator and you can see that appears here in the second section of the dock. The second section contains apps that you're currently running or at least 3 icons, the ones that you've most recently accessed. So you can see Pixelmator Pro is now here in that section. If I were to quit Pixelmator Pro, it remains there but the dot is gone. But Pixelmator will disappear after I've run some other apps. It'll drop off this list which just contains 3 items. Now I can permanently add an icon to the dock by dragging it from the second section to the first. So I'll just drag it to the left and add it here. Now it'll stay in the dock. Another reason to have apps in your dock is not just to launch them but to also drag files onto them. For instance, take the 3 apps I've added. Acorn, Pixelmator Pro, and Affinity Photo. They all handle images. If I were to double click on an image it would actually launch Preview as the default app. But sometimes I want to open it in one of those 3 apps. I can use the dock to drag a photo to one of those apps to open it in that app. The third section in the dock on the right can contain files and folders. You can add them there just like you added applications. So let's create a new Finder window here and let's say I want to add this file to the dock. I can add it here but only to the right side. You can't add files or folders to the left side. I could also add a folder and it would appear there. Now the idea behind adding a file is I could simply click it in the dock and it will open that file in its default app. A folder, however, does something different. You click it and it displays the contents of that folder. And then I could click on one of the items there to open it up. But you have lots of options. If you control click on it or 2-finger click on a trackpad, right click on a mouse, you get all of the options here. You can choose, for instance, to display the icon as a stack of the items in there or as a folder like that. You can also choose how the content is viewed. A fan will make it look like that. A grid will make it look like this. And a list will make it look like this, even giving you access to subfolders. Automatic will choose one based on how many files are in the folder. You can also sort the list in different ways and go directly to the folder just by using Open. Files and folders can be moved around just like the applications can, or removed by dragging them up. And remember, just like with applications, the files and folders aren't actually in the dock. These are just shortcuts to access them. The files and folders exist in their current location on your hard drive, in your documents folder, or wherever they are. The left and right sides of the dock have special items in them. On the left side you'll have the Finder. If you ever want to bring the Finder to the front, if you click on the Finder icon, it will do that. On the right side you have the Trash. This is the temporary holding place you put files before you delete them. So you can click in there and it will reveal a trash folder with all the items that are currently in your trash. You can also use this to drag items to the trash. So if you want to delete something, you could drag it to the trash and drop it there, which is the equivalent to using File, Move to Trash, or Command and the Delete key. One more thing you use the dock for, and that's when you minimize a window. So if you click the yellow button here or use Window Minimize, it will put that window in the dock along with your files and folders on the right. And then you can click it to bring it out of the dock and return it to its position on your desktop. Now I have a lot of options when it comes to how the dock works. Go to System Preferences and then Dock and Menu Bar. And here you can set the size for the dock. So you can make it smaller to make the icons smaller, or larger. You can see it won't go above the size needed to fit all the icons. Magnification allows each icon to magnify as you move over it. You can use left or right to move the dock to the left side of the screen or the right side of the screen. When you minimize a window, instead of minimizing to the right side here, it can minimize into the icon for the app. Notice when you click and hold on an app you get a variety of different options. Like for instance, like an image editing app will show you recently opened documents. You can turn on automatically hide and show dock. So if I turn that on you can see the dock goes away, but if I move my cursor to the bottom of the screen it appears. So I don't really lose any functionality since I need to move the pointer to the bottom of the screen anyway in order to use the dock. But it gives me a little extra space and a little less distraction. If you don't want the dots to appear under the apps that are running you can turn that off. And if you want to get rid of this middle section that shows recent applications, the apps that you're currently running that aren't normally in the dock will appear on the left side just before the divider on the right. But you won't have recently running applications. So if I quit TextEdit you can see it goes away completely. So there's a look at the basics of how to use the dock on your Mac. I hope you found this useful. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know.
Unmute audio and bring back the old puss. There we go. So yeah, there's a lot of things that these machines do that all of us can learn something. Most of us are fairly familiar with the dock, but there are some tricks to running the dock that one didn't know. I think one of our future programs, we're going to talk about the downloads folder too, and how when some people run out of space, we say, well, let's look in your downloads folder, pardon me, and all of a sudden we'll find 59 installs for Flash and all kinds of installers for various and sundry things that are all stored on your machine that could be dumped and eliminated, saving space.
Hi, this is Gary with
Wait a minute, too far back.
Macmost.com.
Go,
today, let's take a look.
I want to go down one. There we go. The anybody got any comments on that video on the dock? Did you learn anything? Too basic? Jan.
I was glad to learn that you could find recents in it. I always go to File menu, Recents, but it seems like it'd be easier to go to the dock.
I never fail to be amazed at how far thinking these program writers, these code writers are. They really think way down the line. I don't think I'd want to play chess with them. Okay, any other comments? Nobody got any comments? So let's move on,
I have a question.
please.
I must have spaced out. I understand what he meant by the icons that are on the left and then the ones on the right, which is mostly the trash, but I forgot what it meant for the ones in the middle, the between the two lines on the dock. What was there? Temporary?
That's a new feature that started maybe in Catalina and also on iOS. It started first on iPad, where it's the 3 most recent items stay in there.
Okay.
And you can turn that feature off if you don't like it on both the iPad and the, it recently came to the Mac OS.
Huh. The 3 most recent what? Downloaded or
Apps, 3 most recent apps that you've opened, if they are not already permanently on the left side of your dock.
Oh, okay.
So it's the 3 most recent items that are not on the left side of your dock, so you can open them.
I see. Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Got it.
I had trouble figuring out who that was who was asking the question. I see a pooch in there, and I heard a woman's voice, and I thought, "What's this?" You know. So anyway, glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm here.
The next thing on the list is helping you to learn to manage your storage. I know the cloud is very threatening to some people, and they're kind of afraid to trust it or even use it. And a lot of us don't really.
Or when you upgrade to a newer OS recently, if you don't pay attention, there's a checkbox that says optimize my Mac, which means move your stuff to the cloud, all your documents and all your desktop. And some people don't even realize that that happened.
Yes. Some people just out and out think they refuse to use it, but if they're getting updates and so forth, they are. And a small minority of us actually know what we're doing and do manage it. That's not many of us, though, including me. So let's see what Gary tells us about how to manage your iCloud storage.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Today, let me show you how to manage iCloud storage on your Mac. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 900 supporters. Go to MacMost.com/Patreon. There you can read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So you have a limited amount of iCloud storage depending upon how much you pay for. How do you manage what's on there and know if you're getting close to your limit? Well, on the Mac, you would go to System Preferences and then click on Apple ID at the top. Then look on the left for iCloud and click that. Now at the bottom you're going to see a little graph here that shows you how you're using iCloud storage. Now this is a demo account, so I'm just using the free 5 gigs. Here you could see little areas for photos and videos, documents, messages, mail, and then the available space. But to get really detailed information, click Manage. Now this is just going to give you an overview of the things that you have on iCloud. It's not going to give you the details you want, but it's a good place to start. So here you can see very typical results where the top 2 items are photos and other documents. After all, both photos and documents are large files that take up a lot of space. So in this demo account I have 400 or so megs of photos. Of course in my real account I have many gigs of photos. If I click here you don't really get much additional information. You get that there are 180 photos and 3 videos stored, and all I could do is turn it off. To really see the photos I have stored I would go to the Photos app. And in here I could see at the bottom of all photos it shows me the same thing, 180 photos, 3 videos. And this is where I can figure out what I've got and if maybe there are things I can get rid of. I can look through and get rid of duplicates. I can go to media types here for instance and see things like videos, which are typically going to be a lot larger than photos. And I can manage things. Now if say I want to clear some things off I could go through photos and delete photos. One of the things I like to do to save space on iCloud is to not store very many videos in my photos library. I like to leave my photos library as just photos, and I like to put videos just as files on my hard drive, perhaps not even in iCloud, but stored locally or maybe in an external drive. Now back in System Preferences here, Other Documents is telling you basically about the files that you have stored in iCloud Drive. Now you also have some other categories here below. For instance, I've got one here for numbers, another for Keynote. These aren't really any different than other documents. But if you look in the Finder and you go to iCloud Drive, you'll see you have a variety of folders here, including your Documents folder, which is probably where you have most of your stuff. But there are also special folders created for some apps, like for Keynote. If I look in Keynote here, I have a few files in that special folder. You may not use that folder for anything, or you may use it to store all your Keynote files. It's really up to you. Same thing for numbers. I have a bunch of numbers files stored in here. This being a demo account, I find it easy to save little demo numbers files into this folder. So now when I look here in System Preferences at, say, numbers, you can see it's 7.4 megs. That's the equivalent to what's in this folder here. I have all these files. If I do Command A to select all and then Command Option I to bring up the inspector, you could see 7.8 megs of files. So it's approximately the same amount, just measured a little differently. However, I know I have other numbers files that are stored in iCloud Drive in Documents, and that number would be a lot bigger if it was all numbers files. So when looking at what's in other documents, mostly what you're going to see here should be the things that you've got inside your Documents folder in iCloud Drive. If you want to manage what's in there, then naturally you would go into your Documents folder, look around, maybe archive some things you don't need, maybe delete some files that you don't need anymore, and manage these files just like regular files. And then getting rid of any of these would of course decrease the amount of iCloud storage you're using. Now if you want to trim what documents you have in iCloud Drive, in the Finder go to iCloud Drive either by clicking on it in the left sidebar or using Go iCloud Drive. And then here you'll see everything in iCloud Drive. Switch to List View. And now you'll see size here on the right. It's usually blank. But if you choose View, Show View Options or Command J, check, Calculate All Sizes, you'll see sizes now for each of those folders. Sort by size by clicking there. And now I can see my Documents folder takes up the bulk of that. I can expand the Documents folder and I can see what inside that takes up the most. So I can see my Example Files folder is the largest. I can go down to that and see, oh yeah, I've got a Photoshop document that's taking up 38 megs of my 170 megs right there. So maybe that's something I don't need anymore. Maybe I can archive that. You just basically use this list view and keep digging down into the different folders to see what you've got. It's pretty quick and easy to do, and if you seem to be using a lot more space than you thought, this is a really quick way to get to the bottom of it. Usually you see the files that are taking up the most space right away, and you really get to understand a little bit better what files you've got and what's taking up space, and come up with a strategy for maybe clearing some of that off. Now you're also going to see other apps listed here like iMovie, Health, Shortcuts, other third-party apps, reminders. These are all going to use some storage space to store their data. Typically these are going to be pretty small, so you're not going to want to worry about these. I mean, obviously if you really wanted to trim the amount of data that Reminders was storing, you would go into Reminders and delete old reminders or ones you don't use, or maybe even attachments that you've added to Reminders. But in most cases, if you're trying to clean up your iCloud storage, you really wouldn't bother with these smaller apps. The further you get down this list, the smaller the numbers get and the less effect cleaning up stuff in them is going to have. Now one thing I've got here is Messages, and you may see Messages all the way up near the top. I only have 9 megs in here in this demo account. If I look in the Messages app, you can see the reason for those 9 megs is I've recently received a couple of photo attachments. And since in Messages, in Preferences under iMessage, I've got Enable Messages in iCloud, it's using iCloud to sync my messages across all my devices, which means these photos and any other attachments are stored inside of iCloud. So if you have a lot of photos, then it's going to add up and Messages is going to take up a lot of space. There's no real good way to get rid of these. You can select any one and hit delete and it will delete one of these messages or the attachment. You can control click on it and select delete as well to delete a message. If you click on the I button here at the top and then you scroll down, you can see photos and you can control click, 2-finger click on a trackpad or right click on a mouse and delete a single photo or attachment. But there's no good way to delete lots of them. one thing you can do is in Messages Preferences under General, you can set Keep Messages instead of Forever to only 30 days or 1 year. So older messages will automatically get deleted. I know some people like to keep their messages around forever though. But if you're using a lot of storage of messages, you may want to create a new habit for yourself. And that's when you receive a photo or attachment from somebody. After you view that message, then maybe save it. You can see if I control click on it, I could actually add to my photos library, for instance. Or I could drag and drop this out to the Finder to save it somewhere and then delete it from Messages. It's not easy to do if you've got thousands of these going back into the past. But if you start it as a habit now not to let photos and attachments accumulate in the Messages app, then you can really avoid having messages take up a lot of space in your iCloud storage. Another thing you may see here is backups. And for me it's all the way at the bottom because I don't have any stored for this particular account. But in my regular account I would see the backup for my iPad and my iPhone here. This is the iCloud backup, but it's one of the most useful things that you could do with iCloud is to let it back up your iPhone and iPad. An iCloud backup is so valuable. If your iPhone is lost or stolen, you can get a new one and pick up right where you're left off. So while you can select a backup here and use the minus button to delete it, it's not a good place to cut corners. You should let your devices back up to iCloud because that's one of the best uses for iCloud storage. Now if you are running out of storage space here, you want to click Buy More Storage, and this is where you go to upgrade your account. I know a lot of people don't like to spend even 99 cents a month on a service, but Macs are expensive computers. iPhones are expensive iPhones, and iPads are expensive tablets. If you want to get the most out of them, you really need to spend a little bit on iCloud storage. Otherwise it's kind of like getting a nice car but then refusing to ever drive it on the highway. You're not getting the most out of it. Now I know a lot of people say I don't want to see a 99-cent or a $2.99 charge on my credit card bill every month. And no, you don't need to do that. If you go into Media and Purchases and manage your account, it'll go to the Mac App Store. And in the area where you manage your account, there's a section for add money to your account. You can add money to your Apple account in increments here and it will deduct from that. So say you have the $2.99 plan and maybe every once in a while you rent a movie or buy an app, you can add $50 or $100 to your account and it'll just keep pulling out of that. So it's kind of like having an annual plan, but even better than that since it covers other Apple purchases as well. So I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know.
So a little more knowledge there for us, dealing with iCloud. Are there any folks who are still not using any features in iCloud at all? And maybe you can help us understand how you arrived at that decision. Everybody's happy and sassy with it, huh? Not everybody talk at once.
Very much so. I just, on my 2015 MacBook Pro, managed to somehow get it to have to restart in recovery mode and managed unwittingly to damage my backup disk. But I've been able to get things back through iCloud where I back up also.
That's great. That's great. So what did you do? Have your time machine hooked up to it when you went into recovery mode?
I frankly don't know how I managed to do that, but I screwed up the backup. I've used the backup before successfully, but this time I somehow damaged it.
Well, I think that's greatly. Yeah. How's the weather up in Oregon?
Beautiful today.
Good. Okay, no questions or about.
Rick, I have a question. So like if I wanted to add something to iCloud, like my calendar, for example, then from my iPhone, I have to change or look at two settings. One setting is in the iPhone, and then the second setting is in the iCloud, which I would typically...
No, all you have to do is go to System, go to your settings folder in your phone, go to your identity where it says Tom Sisa, and then click on Apple ID. I'm sorry, go to iCloud and make sure that your calendar and mail is turned on for iCloud, and that will automatically synchronize it with the iCloud.
Okay. Okay.
So it's just It's pretty easy. Like I say, these guys who write this code are so foresighted that I just can't believe it.
And if I wanted to check to make sure I did it right, I could get on my MacBook Pro and get into iCloud and see that the calendar is being shared.
Yeah, or you could just open your calendar and see if the new item that you posted there appears.
Okay. Okay.
So you might say dentist appointment in 3 weeks.
The settings are pretty much the same for iCloud on all your devices, except for one thing, and I don't know why they don't fix this. Do you know what it is?
Tell us, John.
It's messages. In iCloud on Mac OS in the list, there's no switch to sync your messages. You have to open the Messages app and go to Preferences, and in there, there's a switch to turn on iCloud syncing with messages. I don't know why they don't put that in the normal place.
Well, is it because messages comes in as a direct connection? Do you think?
I don't know. I don't know why it just isn't listed in iCloud with an on and off switch. You have to go into the Messages app and then go into the Preferences. And in there, there's a checkbox to turn on iCloud syncing for messages.
Right, which then would keep all your messages in the cloud.
Sends all the messages to the cloud and syncs it to everything. And when you delete one place, it deletes the other places.
Yeah, but that fills up the cloud.
It fills up the cloud, but you can buy more cloud storage. You can't buy more storage on your iOS devices. And some people have gigabytes of messages. People send them movies and photos and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. See,
so what it does when you do that,
I read them.
When you do that on your iOS devices, it optimizes it, meaning it leaves behind a thumbnail of the movie and a thumbnail and puts the originals in the cloud, so it frees up the space on your iOS devices.
That's good to know. That's good to know. I will check mine and make sure that that is set that way. But normally, when I read a message, if I get an instant message from somebody, I delete it when I read it. So.
Yeah, but a lot of people say, oh, then something happened. Oh, my precious pictures or my pictures of my little granddaughter are in my messages. What do I do with them? Well, you can go in there and click on the movie and say save.
Save it.
And save it out onto your computer. So if you have messages turned on and syncing, you can delete that movie out of your messages if you want, as long as you got it into your computer and put it in wherever you're going to keep it.
John, I on the iCloud, when you go to Apple ID and into iCloud, I have a switch that turns on messages.
On iOS devices, not on Mac OS.
Oh, okay. That's what you were talking about.
Mac OS, open the Messages app, and then go up to the menu bar where it says Messages and go to Preferences. And there's a tab in there, and you'll see a checkbox for turn on syncing, iCloud syncing or something to that effect.
Okay.
I don't know why they don't put it in the normal place so everybody sees it. It's like hidden.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Makes no sense.
But even if it's not synchronized, you're still going to receive that message on all your devices.
Right, but you won't, when you delete it on one audio, it won't delete it on the other one. And they build up and it's stupid.
Yeah.
That used to be a pain in the ass. I'd want to delete a message and it would delete on one. I had to go to delete it on every single device. You don't have to do that anymore as long as you got syncing on.
Yeah. Good thought. Thank you. So finally, let's go ahead.
The other thing I noticed yesterday on somebody, she said, well, I don't have all my messages on my iPhone or my iPad that are on my Mac. And so this one doesn't have very much message. So I went and looked at the settings and she had her messages to send and receive as her iCloud email address only, not her phone number. And so she wasn't getting the messages. Everybody's sending them to her phone as her phone number, but she wasn't getting them on her other device. So you have to make sure you tell it what device, and then you select which item you want to originate messages from your email address or your phone number. Most people use their phone number because messages is essentially a phone feature that's spread to the Mac.
Yeah.
John, how do you get to preferences in messages?
Open the Messages app and then go up to the menu bar where it says Messages next to the Apple menu. Pull that down to Preferences. And then there'll be a couple tabs in there. And Messages, Preferences, and then it'll have Accounts. There'll be an Account button at the top. And then in there, under Settings, it says Enable Messages in iCloud.
Now, is that on the Mac or in the iOS?
That's on the Mac. That's not in iOS. It's in the Apple ID, just like contacts and calendars. There's a big green on and off switch, which that doesn't appear on the Mac and in your Apple ID in iCloud.
Got it.
That is
weird.
strange.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Why don't they just put it in the Apple ID on the Mac? I don't understand.
You all may want to check that. Janet.
I noticed in Messages, it says save history when messages were, where is it?
Deleted.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can keep them forever or have them search, because if people send you a lot of big pictures and movies, it can fill up. A couple gigabytes easy. Texting has become like just like the default people. People, you want to get your information through, you text them, you don't send an email. People don't read half their damn email.
God, I hate texting too.
Me too.
My fingers are too fat. I'll use drag typing, but still there's a lot of errors. And of course there's dictation you can use, but then you forget your punctuation. Or I forget my punctuation.
It's meant for very short messages.
My own daughter told me, she works at a bank. She's a smart woman. She never looks at her email. If you want to get a hold of her, you got a message.
Oh yeah, I look at people's email on their computer. Oh, I have 38,000 unread messages.
Oh my God.
Oh God, how does that help? Why don't you just delete them or something? You're never going to read them in your entire life. How do you tell when a new message comes in when it goes from 38,124 to 137? How do you know when there's new stuff?
Now on mine, I have a signal. It gives me an audible signal every time I get an email and I look at it.
I don't think my granddaughters look at email either. It just messages. I mean, if you want to get a hold of them, that's the only way you're going to do it.
Yeah, that's right.
That's crazy. Oh well. So what else is there that's a mystery about the Mac? The little known things about Siri. What you can do with Siri. Lots of times we'll spend a lot of time finding it. We don't think about using Siri. Apple gave us the tool, but we don't use it. And it's not just for search. You can do a multitude of things. And Gary's going to tell us all about it.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Today, let me show you how to use Siri on your Mac. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 900 supporters. Go to MacMost.com/Patreon. There you can read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. Siri's been on Macs for a while, but a lot of people still don't use it. You can access Siri by using this icon here in the menu bar. It's usually the only color icon there. You could also access it in the touch bar with an icon that looks the same if you have a MacBook Pro. There's usually a keyboard shortcut. By default it's Command Space, but a quick Command Space will bring up Spotlight. You have to hold Command Space to bring up Siri. So before we look at more settings and options for Siri, let's look at what Siri can do. Some of the most obvious stuff is just to get information. For instance, you can ask for the weather. Weather.
It's currently clear and 39 degrees.
Often you can click on the result and it will load a web page or show you more information about that topic. Once you have Siri up, you can dismiss it with this X button here, or it'll kind of go away on its own when you start to do other things. But you can also click down here to simply ask another question. For instance, let's get some sports scores. NCAA basketball scores.
Coastal Carolina was definitively beaten by Pepperdine.
Now getting information is fine, but what about actually doing things on your Mac? Well, you can ask Siri for some simple things. For instance, you can launch apps. Launch calendar. You could open files. Show me my most recent numbers files.
Here's what I got.
And then you can double click to open up the file. You can also go directly to folders in the Finder. Open my Project Alpha folder.
Here you go.
You can also use Siri to search the web. Search the web for Civil War history.
I found this on the web.
You can search your own photos collection. Show me photos from Japan. Some of the most powerful stuff is actually being able to use your productivity apps like the calendar app and reminders through Siri. So for instance, if I wanted to schedule an event, I could do that without even opening the calendar app first. Schedule lunch with Mark for Thursday at 1 o'clock.
Okay, I set up your appointment with Mark Davidson for next Thursday. Ready to schedule it?
Yes.
Your appointment with Mark Davidson is scheduled for next Thursday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m.
And you could do a reminder like this. Remind me to buy milk tomorrow at 5 p.m.
Okay, added.
You can also get into system preferences using Siri. So for instance, you could say something like, change my display preferences. You'll find this works with some preferences but not others. For instance, I can't ask for mission control. That won't work. You could start messages and send emails as well. Send a message to Joe.
What do you want to say?
I'll see you tomorrow.
Ready to send it?
Send an email to Mark.
What's the subject of the email?
Our meeting.
Okay. What would you like the email to say?
Looking forward to our meeting tomorrow. See you then.
Okay. Here's your email message to Mark Davidson.
Now there are plenty of settings for Siri. Go into System Preferences and then Siri. Here you'll find an on and off switch on the left. With that on, you'll have all of these different options. Now you might see different options depending upon which Mac you have. If you have a Mac with a security chip, in other words, Touch ID, then you might get some extra things like, for instance, the ability to ask Siri by saying the words hey and then Siri. But I don't get that here on my Mac Pro. Here I can change the keyboard shortcut to activate Siri or turn the keyboard shortcut off completely if I just want to access it through the menu bar. I can set the language for Siri, but if you just want to change the accent of the voice, leave the language set for your country, but change the voice here. You could turn off voice feedback so you can ask Siri things, but the response will always be information on the right side of your screen. It won't be spoken. You could also turn off the icon there in the menu bar if you don't want that to take up space because you just use the keyboard shortcut. Now click here and you'll get some customization for some different things that you can ask Siri. And notice every one of them has learn from this app. So as you continue to do things in different apps and ask Siri to do things, then it will learn what you want and be more likely to show you the correct response first. Now there's one other setting for Siri, but you won't find it here. You'll find it in accessibility. There's actually a category for Siri and you can enable type to Siri. What happens then is when you activate Siri, Siri won't be listening at all, but instead you can type. This is a great way to use Siri quietly.
It's currently clear and 41 degrees.
And then if you want to use the voice feedback off, there'll be no sound either from you or from Siri. Now what else can Siri do? Well, there's a lot actually. If you activate Siri and then click there just to deactivate it right away, you'll get the help information and you have all these different categories. The list is pretty long. You can click on any one and get examples of the things that you can do. As you can see, there's a lot that I didn't even cover. For instance, you can have the music app controlled by Siri. You can control maps with Siri, get directions and information about locations. You can have stock information. You can ask for times in various locations. You can do things with contacts. You can do things with notes. There's even a whole section here for Q&A with ideas of different pieces of information that you can get from Siri. And finally, one of my favorite things to do with Siri is actually just to do math. Instead of using Spotlight or the calculator app, you can just ask Siri, so you can do something like this. What's 4,623 times 815?
It's 3,767,745.
What's 72 miles in kilometers?
The answer is 115.87 kilometers.
How many cups in a gallon?
That would be 16 cups.
What's 100 euros in dollars?
It's $117.87.
While Siri is by no means a necessary tool for you to use on your Mac, it can be very useful and help improve your productivity if you train yourself to use it for things that make sense for you. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.
And there's a million other things that you can do with Siri. You can, when you're traveling, you can say, and it'll know where you are if you allow it to use locations. You can say, how far am I from the National Museum? Or where is the nearest coffee shop? Or where can I get a beer? You know, or whatever. And she'll tell you. Yes, Janet.
I missed how do you turn on or where do you find type to Siri? She so often doesn't understand me. I think it might be better to type.
Yeah, under
Accessibility, I think.
yeah, accessibility.
Great, thank you.
I was thinking of Gary, you can tell the age of his videos by how many members he has.
Yeah, somebody commented that in one of the chats. I briefly looked. Some of these are old and some of these are new. I try to select them that are appropriate, even though some of them might be old.
They still work.
Yeah, the guy is absolutely amazing. He's the greatest thing in the world as far as doing these meetings every Tuesday. I certainly just wouldn't have the wherewithal to do it every Tuesday without his help.
You know, you can also ask Siri to take for directions home, or directions to Rick Calacura's house, or directions to DVMUG.
Oh, I didn't know
Or
that.
anybody in your address book would recognize their name.
Yeah, if it's in your
Yeah.
address book.
It won't tell you, it won't take you to Rick's house unless you know where Rick lives.
Right.
Just, you know.
Which
I thought it
incidentally,
was
this is
smarter than
completely unrelated to Siri. But if you've got a GPS in your car and you set it up for home, don't put your home address in it. Go to the nearest Safeway or something like that. Because if your car ever gets stolen, and of course you've blanked out your address on your white slip, I hope, then when they hit the home button on your navigator, it won't take them to your house.
Right? You likely have a garage door opener.
Yes, right. And maybe if you still have a car that uses keys, it'd have the key to your front door. So anyway, Kathy, you had a question. Kathy Mossberg.
Oh, I was just going to say that Siri is wonderful if you have a watch for sending out a message too. If you're otherwise, you know, if you're in the middle of something, she's perfect for sending a text.
Absolutely. And like I say, I use it for shopping too. If I'm out of mayonnaise or something, I'll just say, hey, SIRI, add mayonnaise to my general shopping list. Or if Costco's got it on sale, I'll say, put it on my Costco list or whatever. It's indispensable. Indispensable. So yeah, Janet, go ahead.
Oh, is there yet any way to tell Siri how to spell something if she misunderstands?
I'm not sure. Well, I can tell you that you can tell her how to pronounce something. I'm not sure that you can tell her how to spell something.
Well, I mean, she like a street name, she might not get it right.
Oh, no, yeah, I know, she probably won't. If it's a street name, you can say, that's not the way to say it. Or you said it wrong. And then she'll offer you several options and you choose whichever one you want. It's the same as with the last name. Like if I FaceTime my daughter, Gina Calicura, she would always say Gina Calicura. And I'd say, that's not the way to say it. And then I finally got her trained to say Calicura.
If you're
So-
using Siri on your phone, it does use a lot of data. So I know
Yeah.
when I first got Siri, I started playing around with it. My data usage went sky high.
I think
Well,
they originally they used to send it to the server. I don't think they do that anymore. I think it processes it locally.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, okay.
But whatever, I've got consumer cellular, so I don't worry about data.
It used to be the phone wasn't powerful enough to do it, but for a lot of stuff, the phone could do it right on the phone now.
Yeah.
So if you
Well-
ask it for something that it already knows on the phone, like how to get to Rick's house, it already knows who Rick is and process the map and would process it instead of sending it and trying to figure out on the server what you mean by Rick, and then it has to go up and come back, and then it figures it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably gotten better.
Yeah, I've found it to be greatly improved. They've limited under the latest update to Big Sur, though, they have limited the voices down to 4. Whereas
I
before
thought
we
they
used-
said they enhanced them and put in 4 voices where
Yeah, they added voices.
well, but
Yeah.
you're missing the Australian female, the British female.
Oh, that probably only works if you choose that as your language or something.
Well, I guess Australian is difficult enough to understand that it might be considered a separate language, but they used to have different ones. Now they do have South African though. So anyway,
John
So-
John Mendenhall's cat looks like my cat, Josie.
Josie, wake up, Josie. Josie.
Josie, wake up, Josie. And oh, David's here, David Epley. He emailed me. We talked about doing the DVMUG picnic this summer. And David was wondering why we won't do it at Sportsman's Park. But so I started researching, and the news is, well, Contra Costa parks, you can have 100 people, but everybody who sits at a picnic table has to be from the same household, and everybody who uses a grill has to be from the same household. So the logistics aren't there for us yet.
Yeah.
It will be by June. They're supposed to lift everything if it works out.
We'll see.
Where
Yeah,
we're
we'll
headed.
see we'll see how they handle. Can we sit at the same table? Yeah, cross your fingers.
it might be good to see if you could reserve a place
Just
with
in
the option,
case.
with the option to cancel it. That place, aside from being a little bit of a climb, in Rossmore was pretty good. But Rankin Park and Martinez is awfully good too. And
Has to
so
have
is
good parking.
the Pleasant Hill Park, where you
No,
can
their
park in the-
grills are horrible. I don't want to cook on them. They're too small.
Hmm. Okey-doke.
There were a couple of incidences that happened in the Pleasant Hill Park regarding people barbecuing. All of a sudden, uninvited personnel showed up and that kind of stuff.
Wow.
That's all right.
I guess that could happen anywhere though, any day.
Just break out the baseball bat.
Not so much in Rossmore.
Yeah, not so much in Rossmore because of the gate. Otherwise, it could happen in any park. any park.
Oh,
How about
I didn't go to Rossmore for like a year. I've been out there a couple times in the last month. You pull up to the gate. They haven't seen me in a year. The gate just opens and you go through. They don't even,
How about
Really?
Lafayette
they don't
Reservoir?
even pay attention to what your name is.
Anybody interested in Lafayette Reservoir?
I'd have to go look at the grills.
Oh,
I
enough parking there? Is enough parking at the Lafayette
Ye-
Reservoir? It's
I think they
Yeah,
expensive.
charge. I think they
50.
isn't that you have to pay to park
It's
there. or
paid
something?
parking.
Yeah,
and I
oh,
think
yeah,
it's
paid
limited-
parking.
Limited time too.
I think that the winner for me might be Hidden Lakes. We've never done it there, but I think there's good parking near the big grills.
But it is very
but-
heavily used. It's just down the hill from me on the other side of the hill. Boy, that parking lot is full so many times. But at this time of night, I'm not sure because I don't get over there at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
Mhm.
During the day, the soccer field and the softball field really draw the cars.
We did it a couple of times for the food sig out at the Baroni's Park at the Alhambra entrance. It was pretty good, pretty good.
You know, I was born in Martinez. I've never been to Brioni's.
What?
Never been there.
We have a
Never
nice
been to
park in Thousand
Alcatraz.
Oaks.
Never been to Angel Island. Never done any of those
How could
things.
you never been to Baroni's and you
Whoa.
lived here your whole life?
I could
Yeah.
suggest a nice park in Thousand Oaks.
I bet you can.
I haven't been out to Baroni's and hiked in a couple of years since. I need to go
Yeah.
out there. It's all, I didn't go out there when it's green. It's all
Let's
brown
do it.
now.
At, let's just have the picnic at Jane Powell's house.
There you go.
It's,
Mhm.
So
We should ask Chris. Is there anything available in his direction?
He's
that's
not
too
here
far-
today.
That's too far out. We're trying
And it
to be
would-
central.
and it would be very hot.
Okay, the Concord Weapons Station.
That's kind of closed off, isn't it? The Concord Weapons Station, you
Yeah, I
can't
don't
just
think
go up
there's
there. You,
anything-
you can't just go up there.
No, I
'Cause
think it's
took a
closed
tour.
off.
I took a tour and we had to get permission and unlock a gate and all that stuff.
Okay, how about Todos Santos Plaza?
Yeah,
The
that's a
park
good
down
one.
south.
Go check out the grills.
They don't have girls.
They don't have girls there.
Yeah.
All the Martinez parks have been completely rehabbed. They have all new equipment everywhere.
Oh,
What about Waterfront Park? There's plenty of parking down there.
Yeah, there's lots, but I don't know if they have very many picnic tables and grills down there.
Hmm.
I don't think they do.
And of course, I mentioned that that park out there on the Carquinez Straits, but it's difficult to get to. It's way out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh yeah, way out by Port Costa.
Yeah.
You're right,
Well,
John.
I mean, Sportsman's Park is ideal, but we would need a club there to sponsor us. And I don't believe they'll entertain any applications for that until after the June 15th, whatever rule change.
Yeah.
I think the last couple years, Lynn just, anybody who lives there can reserve it. You don't even have to be a
Yeah,
club.
yeah.
She just went in there and did it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I'd love some direction. Where do you guys want to go with these meetings? Are we meeting your needs? Is there anything better we could do? Okay. Kathy gives us a thumbs up.
Well, I just keep running. I keep forgetting my questions. I used to have one or two and then I forget. And so or somebody else answers. it.
Come down.
Yeah, submit them on the bulletin board or write them down.
Or put them in reminders, as we heard today.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, send yourself a reminder. Tell Siri to send it to you.
Right. Yeah, because if it's a complicated one, it might be good to let us have a little time to research it.
Or just, you don't have to wait for a week to get your question answered. You can go to the BBS and post it. And
That's
you
true,
can answer it.
too.
That's true.
That's true.
Or keep asking Google and eventually you get the answer.
Yeah,
So we kind of decided at the last two board meetings that we're not doing Wednesday night meetings anymore because we get more people at the Tuesday meetings, and doing a Wednesday night meeting after a Tuesday back to back, kind of, that doesn't make any sense.
As an older person, I much prefer doing Zoom than driving at night. And I told
Yeah,
you that.
but I
one of
mean,
the-
not even doing a Zoom meeting on Wednesday night.
Oh,
just
I'm sorry.
eliminating that completely and just doing all Tuesdays.
Yeah, I agree with the board.
Me too.
yeah.
People
I
seem to
think
like
these-
we were getting more people with the Tuesday than the Wednesday, so we decided that's what people liked more, was they're used to the Tuesday 3 o'clock slot just every week. So that's,
Yeah, I think these are bearing much more fruit than our old Wednesday night meetings,
Oh, yeah.
unless we had a big time presenter.
if
Yeah.
we had a big time presenter, like when Jason Snell, we're going to ask him to do after WWDC, that'll be in June. He doesn't have to do it on Wednesday night. He could do it Wednesday day. We could do it anytime, day or night that fits into
Absolutely.
his schedule. It'll be a special meeting.
Yes,
We can do it anytime.
In
right.
our homeowners meetings, when we had them live, we were getting 10, 12, maybe 15 people. Now we're getting 50, 60, 65.
Exactly.
Our homeowners meetings too, people just didn't go. You had 5 or 6, and now we're getting like 20 or 25.
Yeah.
And we have
Probably don't get as much done
though.
though, do you?
Huh?
You probably don't accomplish as much though,
Yeah.
but everybody gets their say in, I
No,
guess.
no, they keep you have a very limited time where you can speak your time, and then you're done, because they tell you to have a big agenda. We got to get through it. You can't ask questions.
Yeah.
It works pretty well for us.
We seem to get a lot more interaction and questions in the Zoom meeting than we did in person. It was like, couldn't get people to ask questions. They wouldn't bring them to the main, even if we would get 6 people at the office every Tuesday. We did a meeting every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock at the office. We get lucky if we get half a dozen people.
Yeah.
And then the people wouldn't ask questions, and we'd have to start looking at food porn, which is how we started the food sig. It said, all right, that's enough of that. We're gonna have to start a food sig, and we did.
I think Zoom is just, I cannot believe how successful it's been for those of us who are older, don't want to drive at night, and people
Yeah.
live far away. Look at you, have that woman come from Venezuela. What?
Yeah.
It's
Ecuador,
it's
Ecuador.
amazing.
Ecuador.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then
it
you have
was
somebody in another, don't you, in Texas? Don't you have a guy from Texas too?
Yeah, we have
Hawaii.
we got 25, at least 25 expired members come back.
Whoa.
When I sent them emails about the Zoom classes, and in the last few months, last month we got 10 people come back that were expired.
And they may be working, so we won't see them here this day, but they'll see us on the, what do I call it, a
They'll watch it
rerun?
The replay.
People,
Yeah,
how many people here have watched it on YouTube?
I have.
I
I had
have.
a miss last week. And it was the photo thing. I really wanted it, so I went on YouTube. It was great.
Yeah, I've
You
noticed
know-
the last couple of times the quality hasn't been as good on YouTube as it is when it's live. I don't know what happened. It dropped off somewhat.
Well, quality seemed fine to me.
Well,
You
and
know,
sometimes I need to hear it more than once.
Yeah,
to-
that's true too.
Not that it doesn't-
My friend just texted me and said she has to leave, and sometimes they speak too fast and we don't get it. And
Yes,
she just told me, I'm
absolutely.
gonna have to watch this meeting again.
All these
Yeah.
MacMost videos, you can just go to MacMost website and type in the title of it, and you'll find it.
I know.
You can just,
And
you can just watch
also-
it individually there.
also at the bottom of each of those slides with the
There's a
video, I
link.
put the link, and
Yeah.
the link is a hot link, so all you have to do is click it, and it'll take you to that video.
Actually, all his stuff is on YouTube, but we play it off of YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in MacMost, subscribe to his channel, and you'll get an email every day. He posts one almost every day.
Well,
I don't
and
know how
I
he does it.
subscribe, but it's really important to get the feedback with everybody. That's
Yeah, you can
why
ask the
I like-
questions and stuff. yeah.
That's why I like the meeting videos. I think that's as important as
Yeah,
as
Most of these MacMost videos, they come from the MailChimp. I get them every day. I put them in the MailChimp, send them
Yes.
out once a week. I send a list to Rick. We have a list of like 20 of them over the last few months that we haven't even used yet.
Yeah.
I looked at those.
But I see those in the Sunday thing and I think, oh, I don't want to watch it now. I'll
But
just wait.
I know, but
Yeah.
a lot of people, I can tell how many people clicked on what link, and a couple of people, almost everything gets 1 or 2 clicks, but
Yeah.
luckily if you get 5 or 10's a massive amount that people would watch it. You never get that many people.
I know, John, but it's still important because it may not be a topic we're interested in that
know.
day, but then we can go back and refer to it. So please don't stop doing it.
No, I'm not.
I totally agree, John. Just don't. It's.
I'm just surprised that more people don't watch them off the MailChimp.
Sorry for disappointing you, but those
we
are
are.
invaluable.
Yep. People,
always wondered-
people like the society of it, I think. You know, we've all been
Yeah, the interaction, yeah,
sconced
absolutely.
for so long. It's just so wonderful to be able to see and talk to people.
That's right. It's the interaction that,
It is the
really does
interaction.
the whole
I mean,
thing.
during the pandemic, it's just been a lifesaver. Zoom has.
And the beauty of it is it's a subject we're all interested in, and there's no controversy.
Oh, that's true.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
Whoever
true. We're
you
not
are
arguing.
and whatever you're doing,
Yes.
we're all friends.
That's true. I never thought of that, but that's true.
Yeah, it's great. Got common.
Bravo,
common
Rick.
interest.
Yeah, bravo to all of
Yeah,
you.
well, yeah, all of you, yeah. Because without you, we wouldn't have these meetings.
Well,
So-
it keeps our brains sharp. So we appreciate
That's
your
right.
effort, Rick, and you
Yeah.
too, John, and you, Ann. It's all wonderful that you take the time to do what you do. We
I
appreciate
totally
it.
agree. The amount of time you put into it is just extraordinary and it's really appreciated.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Glad to help.
It's actually less time for me, because when we'd have every Tuesday at the office, we'd go there at 5 and then go to dinner, and then have to drive the office, drive back. It would be from 5 o'clock till I go to sleep at night. It's like,
Wow.
we don't get to go to dinner anymore.
And when Chris comes all the way from Brentwood, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Chris stopped coming to the main meetings. Now,
Oh.
almost to any, he quit coming to the almost everything,
Oh,
It's a long
but he would
drive.
come to the Zoom meetings.
Yeah, it's a long drive and
Long
he's
drive.
much happier with the Zoom situation.
Did we
Sure.
did we get him ticked off? Does he have his knickers in a twist or something?
Oh, he
Oh,
got
he's
something else
working
to
this
do
week. He's got a
today.
heavy work
Hey.
schedule.
he got burned out being president. And when he was done being president, then he was done.
You know how hard he worked as president. Believe me, there's more behind the scenes, and you could see
Yes.
the effort that he went to, and all of his presentations were so
oh,
thorough.
absolutely. I totally agree. His presentations were
Yeah,
great and
he's-
you could tell
he
how
was-
he put a lot into it.
Yeah, he was among the
The
best.
iPad
boy.
SIG that he did was more popular than the main meeting or anything. We had to
Yeah.
rent Pleasant Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although that went down when he first started it, it wouldn't fit in the office. If we first went to Pleasant Hill Community Center, it was like 60 people, and then 50, then 40. We got down to, there was only 20, and then that would fit in the office. We moved back to the office. And then it went down from there. When at the end, it was like a dozen people would show up or something.
Mhm.
But that was when the iPhone and iOS was new. Anything that's new, that's the internet SIG. When I first started the internet SIG, that was the most popular thing. We couldn't fit in the room because the internet was new. Now the internet is just what you do. You do mail and you do Safari, and that's what you do.
Yeah.
It's not new anymore. Or digital cameras and movies when they came out. The digital media SIG was a big deal. Taking digital pictures, shooting movies. Well, now people just shoot a movie on their iPhone and they share it, and it's not a big, they don't edit them in iMovie.
John, just if you find that you need help, just ask for help. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's people who would just come up and say, "What can I do for you?"
Well, I would say if anybody has something that they want to show in these meetings, you're welcome to do it.
Yeah.
Show us something that you do or some software you use, or that's how I learned most of the stuff, going to BMUG meetings once a week and watching other stuff. And that's how I learned most of the stuff that I know, how to troubleshoot stuff. Real world experiences, stuff that people actually do.
John, Rick, is there anything going on with possibly doing SIGs on Zoom? Can reactivate some of the SIGs?
That's what we're doing
We
every
just talked
Tuesday,
about
basically.
that a little bit. Yeah, this is basically all the SIGs rolled into one.
Yeah,
That's what
it's
I was thinking, yeah,
general.
Yeah.
I mean, we
exactly.
have, instead of having a photos Zoom meeting, you're free to bring up photos here. The only breakout SIG I think will really entertain is perhaps the food SIG.
Or the barbecue SIG.
I'm currently uploading all the DVMUG food pictures from the clinic lunch, the board dinners, the food SIG, all that stuff to the DVMUG Google account while it's still free. There's a massive amount of it. I've done the first 5 years and there's like 40 different events so far. And that's before we got started taking a lot of pictures. Each event has sometimes 50 pictures. It's
Yeah, our
crazy.
lunches at the clinic were legendary.
People will come to lunch, just wouldn't come to the clinic, they just come for lunchtime.
Yep. Which of course, if you went for dim sum or Chinese, boy, you got the greatest array of victuals that you could imagine when you had 12, 13, 14, 15 people there.
Unfortunately, the dim sum place went out of business.
Yeah, I'm crushed.
It did, it went out of business?
Yeah.
Oh.
They couldn't, I could see why. Dim sum was all about being crammed in there and the carts coming around and everything.
Oh, yeah.
That's all they did.
Yeah, that's true.
They couldn't do that.
I never even had dim sum before I went to one of the clinics and you guys went. That was the first time I ever had it.
And did you like it?
I did. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sure somebody with a few $100,000 who wants to open a dim sum restaurant may take advantage of that once things normalize again.
Well, there's the Creek House on Parkside
Not the
Drive.
same. Don't have the carts and all the, you gotta have a lot of people and a lot of variety and really, they go there, you order the stuff and, you know. The first time I had dim sum, I didn't know what it was. Ann took me to this place in Chinatown. These carts were coming by every 2 minutes, like, oh, let's get some of that. Let's get some of that. And the food on the table was full of food.
And then you got
oh
the
my
bill.
God, stop. We have to eat some
Then
of
you
this
get
stuff.
the bill.
Then you got the bill.
Hey, John, did you ever try to figure
I
out
didn't
how
know
they
how it
keep
worked.
track
I
of
thought
stuff?
I'd never come. Get it. It's not going to come back. Get this. Get this.
It's amazing how they keep track of what you eat.
Oh yeah. They don't lose a minute there.
And there's protocol. I mean, there's certain behaviors to.
Protocol.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Well, I've never seen it, so it sounds like something I missed.
Oh, you did. You did.
It's probably something you can Google. Dim sum protocol.
Dim sum is basically a Chinese thing, I think, on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. I think it's like after church thing.
Yeah.
It's like a brunch thing. That's the only time they really do massive amounts of it.
Little tiny
Little
tiny dishes, usually 3 things, and a vast array of various things. And of course,
Dumplings,
not
like
a calorie in a carload.
Oh,
You know,
I can show you pictures if you want.
You know, when this stuff dies down, and then you can go to Oakland, Chinatown.
Oakland's where or San
must
Francisco's where
treat yourself.
Yeah,
there is.
Yeah, there's some fine places in Oakland. There's also a pretty good one down in Dublin.
Yeah, there's some places, a big Chinese population and big houses where they have a whole giant, hundreds of people down in Dublin. There's a couple of those.
There is, huh? That's good.
Yeah. You want a place that's busy and packed where you get a lot of variety and the stuff's fresh and it comes out, lots of stuff.
Bulletin just came through that the federal court dismissed the bankruptcy filing for the NRA.
good. Isn't that a good thing?
I think so, because he was trying to hide assets that way. And he's not going to get away with it.
Oh, Well, maybe that isn't a good thing there.
No, it's good because now he can't do it. So he cannot file bankruptcy and cannot leave New York to go to another state. Oh, so you're on the other side of the coin. But you know, he was taking, see, we're getting into this stuff now. We can't do
No,
that.
we don't want to do that.
We
No,
can't
we
do
don't
that.
wanna do that. Don't want to do that. Well, thank you again for a good meeting, you guys. It was a good one.
Now,
Thank
don't
you.
go away mad, Kathy. We
Oh,
love
no,
you.
no, not at all. No,
Okay.
not at all. I love my mug meetings. Oh, I love them. All right, guys.
We ought to
See you
order a
later.
bunch of mugs.
Okay, should we
Yeah,
stop
that's
the,
what we
everybody
are.
say night,
Yeah.
everybody, we're gonna stop the recording.
yeah.
Everybody wave bye-bye.